Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Adebola Adedugba. The top stories at this hour. NLC and TUSO leaders meet federal government for talks on fuel price hike. At least 150 die in Jigawa petrol tanker explosion. Security forces disperse protesting voters in Mozambique. And details shortly. Let's begin with the just concluded 30th Nigerian Economic Summit. In a bid to address the current macroeconomic uncertainties facing businesses in Nigeria, internet giant Google has partnered with the Nigerian Economic Summit Group to host a CEO Roundtable aimed at addressing pressing issues facing business leaders of the country. The event, which was held at the sidelines of the 30th Nigerian Economic Summit, brought together top executives from various sectors to discuss key challenges, including rising production costs, inflationary pressures, and a growing talent gap.
From a Google perspective, what we see ourselves as, just thinking about how technology can help unlock economic opportunity for everyone, including businesses, users, government, establishments. We want to be a partner, I think, in this journey. And that's the reason why we actually, I think, brought this group together to have this conversation and, very pleased to take out some very clear action points that I think we can follow up on and report back on.
There's a lot of policy and regulations in that space that has really helped us in the financial industry. But if we are talking about the multiple sector approach, we can't do it in isolation. So we deal with CBN, we comply, but it's not just about financial industry. We have the NCC, we have other regulators. The issue is we need to have a coordinated approach within all those stakeholders so that when one sector is talking about something, it's not just looking at its own.
The way forward is, on one hand, asking ourselves, what does public-private sector partnership really mean, and how can everybody play their part? Some of the things that were mentioned in the room that the government needs to do, the government is already doing, and we've already established that there needs to be a better job at communicating these things.
And now to the fuel price hike, where the leaders of the Nigeria Labour Coalition and Trade Union Congress are currently meeting with representatives of the federal government at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation over the recent hike in fuel prices. Present at the meeting are National Security Advisor Mallam Nuhu Ribadu, Labour Minister Nkiruka Onyejocha, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun. Others in attendance include Mohammed Idris, Information Minister, Henikin Lokobori, Minister of State for Petroleum, Ekperikpe Ekpo, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, and representatives of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited. The House of Representatives has called on the federal government to immediately reverse the recent hike in prices of petrol and cooking gas, given the current economic hardship being felt across the country. The price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, jumped to 1,030 naira per litre, resulting in an increase in transportation costs across major cities in Nigeria. Now, the resolution of the House praying for the intervention of the executive arm of government followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved on the floor of the Green Chamber during Wednesday's plenary session by the Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda and 100 others. The House also urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to implement monetary policies that will mitigate the adverse effect of fuel price hikes on inflation, particularly with regard to essential goods and services. And to a rather sad story where a petrol tanker exploded in Majiye town in Taura local government area, a devastating incident on Wednesday morning, claiming the lives of at least 105 people and leaving 50 others hospitalized. The explosion occurred around 12:30 a.m. when the driver of the tanker en route from Kano to Nguri in Yobe State lost control near Khadija University in Majiya. According to the police public relations officer of Jigawa State Command, Lawan Adam, the tragedy was triggered by residents rushing to collect spilled petrol after the tanker overturned. Adam added that the residents were scooping fuel from the overturned tanker when the explosion happened, igniting a massive inferno that killed 94 people instantly. In the meantime, the Jigawa State Police Command has attributed a high number of casualties and injuries in Tuesday's fuel tank explosion to desperate attempts by locals to scoop fuel from the spilled products following the accident. The command's public relations officer, DSP Lawan Shisu, conveyed this in a voicemail sent to journalists in Kano on Wednesday. Shisu explained that the police faced significant challenges in controlling the scene as many bystanders ignored warnings and approached the accident site, putting themselves in danger. The injured were swiftly transported to General Hospital in Rinjim, where medical personnel are working tirelessly to treat the victims. Away from that, the Senate says rumors of impeachment of the President of the Senate are coming from paid agents bent on causing confusion in the polity, reacting to an online publication which claimed that there were underground moves to remove him from office. President of the Nigerian Senate, Godswill Akpabio, said there was no end to the manipulation of social media by people with ulterior motives. He described such reports as fake and should be disregarded. Akpabio thereafter asked the Senate Committee on Special Duties to investigate the matter and report back as soon as possible. The Rivers State House.
So there is no limit to social media. And we are here sitting down and doing our work very peacefully, oblivious of the mischief that is going on behind us. It's part of what we pass through on a daily basis. It's either they use AI to inject something to turn it around in order to drive traffic. I understand that they are being paid by YouTube if they have a lot of traffic. So whoever brought out this fake news must be getting a lot of payment because of the traffic going on. But I hope the public is aware that this is total fake news and that the chamber is very stable and the issue of impeachment does not come in. So, Kaka, please investigate and report back to us as soon as practicable.
As the Senate President pleases, I will do the needful and report back, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
The Rivers State House Assemblies, led by Speaker Victor Oko-Jumbo, have resolved to take action against Martin Amawole and other lawmakers who announced their defection on the floor of the House on 11th December 2023. The resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance presented by the Assembly's leader, Sokari Goodboy. Goodboy urged the House to act against the defected lawmakers, arguing that they continue to participate in the Assembly proceedings despite losing their seats due to defection from the PDP to the APC. And now to judicial matters, where the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekon, has expressed concern over judges delaying the delivery of verdicts in cases before them. The CJN warned that Nigerians could lose confidence in judiciary if judges continue to fail in delivering judgments within the expected time frame. Kekereekon raised concerns about the low rates of case resolution among judges. She also criticized judges who failed to deliver a single judgment in a quarter, describing this trend as unacceptable. And to unpack this, we're joined by Executive Director, Sterling Center for Law, and that's Deji Ajare. Good evening. Glad to have you join me on the news.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right. Like they say, justice delayed is justice denied, and the CJN has expressed concern over judges delaying the delivery of verdicts in cases before them. What do you make of that?
Yeah, just like you have said first, justice delayed is definitely justice denied. And I can say this to you as a legal practitioner who has seen how the impact of delays in the dispensation of cases it has on litigants. A lot of times, whatever they get at the end of that long drawn battle is usually so inconsequential most times that they don't actually feel that they have actually been able to get justice. And this is a dangerous trend because it tends to impact on the confidence that people have on the judicial system to serve justice. And this, if it is not checked, can lead to a situation where people will start taking the laws into their hands and resorting to self-help. And that is the reason you have a lot of cases of what we call jungle justice around the country. So it is important that this very critical and crucial issue is addressed as the CJN has already started.
Well, what would be your response to those who say that they need more time for cross-examination in court, whereby they need to investigate much more cases brought before the judge? How do you think they can implement efficient systems to make such cases resolved as soon as possible?
Okay. Now, I would like to speak practically on this issue. First, let me tell you that quite a lot of judges are they are really not in control of their courts. And that is so they allow lawyers, they tend to leave the doors open for lawyers and litigants to drag cases on and on. And that has become like the stock in trade of some lawyers, really, to just keep dragging cases, particularly when they are not very convinced that they have a case. So it is important that judges must be in control of their courts. There are cases where you go to court, cases listed, and the case file is not available. So, I mean, it's simply, for me, the way I see it is that judge is probably condoning incompetency amongst his officers. So, but most importantly, the steps that have been taken towards accountability for erring judges is very, very good. It is very important. I read, the warning that was, issued by the committee to the judges, and I think it's good, but it is not enough to just warn them. Mechanisms must be put in place for holding erring judges or non-performing judges accountable. And it is only when this happens that it can serve as deterrent to others and make all the judges sit up. This again will lead us to another issue, which is the issue of the age and health of judicial officers. There is a trend generally in the past 2 or 3 decades in Nigeria, where most of those people who make it to the apex court are those who are really at the end of their career, most of the time aged, old, and of course declining health. Now, this is something that we must start considering in elevation or appointment of senior judicial officers. A robust judiciary requires judges who are in good health, good physically and mentally, to handle the demanding nature of the job.
Well, I'm not holding briefs, for the judges, but then do you think or believe there are cases whereby, a file or a case indeed need be prolonged for genuine interrogation or investigation? Do you think we have such cases or scenarios?
You see, the thing is that a lot of the issues that appear to lead to lead to the elongation of these cases are things that can be taken care of attitudinal stance in place. That is one. 2, of course, just like the CJN has already also said, by adoption of the appropriate technology in judicial intervention. A lot of these things are already there. Some courts have already adopted them. I'm surprised really that the CJN is advising the judges of the Supreme Court to adopt digital tools and IT, because that is something that the CJN should be providing for the judges ordinarily. A lot of these things will make these cases quite fast. And if you look at other jurisdictions, other places, you will find that, look, the use of this technology has made the judicial process very seamless, fast, and efficient. And most of the time, it even makes it less susceptible to manipulation. So I think, really, it goes without saying that we should, by now, be 80% adopting the digital tools and digital case management systems, e-filing and virtual courtrooms. They should be things that we should already be doing.
All right. Well, if my memory serves me right, I know we have out-of-court settlements. But aside that, what other resolution mechanisms would you prefer be integrated into the judicial system for quick resolution of cases?
Thank you very much. I think that's another angle. There are quite a lot of cases that ordinarily should not even make it to the court, but they are there. And I think judges will do well in identifying some of these cases at a very early stage and referring them to the appropriate mechanisms alternative dispute resolution, such as arbitration and others. And I think we're already in court.
All right, indeed. Thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Deji Ajare, Executive Director, Sterling Center for Law. Many thanks indeed. We'll take a short break. When we return, Peter Obi laments high cost of good effects on households. Join us again. Thank you for staying with us. Presidential candidates of the Labour Party in 2023 election, Peter Obi, has lamented the rising cost of living in Nigeria, stating that severe hunger has now become a member of many households across the country. In a post on his X account to mark World Food Day, the former governor highlighted the rising prices of food have made basic items unaffordable for Nigerians. Obi noted that Nigeria is now ranked among the 20 most food-insecure nations in the world. Obi expressed particular concern over the World Bank's recent food security update, which compared Nigeria's worsening food security crisis to that of war-torn countries like Yemen. In the meantime, the governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborowori, has approved the payment of the new minimum wage to workers in the state with effect from October. Secretary to the state government, Kingsley Emo, disclosed this on Wednesday during a meeting of the Committee of the New Minimum Wage with leadership of the organized labor in the state, comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and the Joint Negotiating Council in Asaba, the state capital, to discuss implementation of the new minimum wage. Emo said the meeting was at the instance of Governor Oborowori, who he stated has directed immediate payments of the new minimum wage starting from the month of October.
And because he's a labor-friendly governor and he's committed to the wealth of the people, because he feels the pains of the people, he says we should start, we must do that this month on failure. So I'd like to announce to Commissioner for Finance, Head of Service, Accountant General, that effective immediately, if this minimum wage is not reflected, the consequential adjustment is not reflected, you have yourselves to blame. Because governor has directed explicitly that this must be done.
The labor movement in Delta State want to thank His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, Governor Francis Sheriff Oborowori, for graciously approving the implementation of the 2024 minimum wage in Delta State without stressing us. He has made the job of labor to be less difficult.
And now to security matters, where the Kogi State government and the Nigerian Army have commended efforts aimed at improving security around the Yagba West and Yagba East areas of the state. This was as the state government and the Nigerian Army received a fully constructed and furnished forward operating base located at Egbe community and donated by federal lawmaker Sunday Karimi. While they said that the base will resolve the Nigerian Army's logistical challenges and improve security in the area, allowing its personnel to tackle the rising insecurity been witnessed, the lawmaker expressed confidence that the area will now be safer.
Recently, the forest bounding between Kogi and Kwara has been an habitation for criminals. The people, our students in Kwara, in Kogi State University, that were kidnapped, they trekked and they were traced to forests around this area. You find out that kidnappings will be done in Ekiti, in Osun, in Ondo, and they will come around the forest, around this location, to come and collect their ransom. Our farmers can no longer go to farm. So I felt it challenging that what can I do to alleviate the situation for our people.
The establishment of this forward operation base will serve to form a check of influx into Kogi State, provide the needed safety for our people, and also allow the Nigerian Army take firm control of the security of this area, including Yagwa East and beyond.
The construction of this new FOB is very timely, bearing in mind the operational and logistical challenges we faced during the recent rescue of kidnapped students of the Confluence University of Technology, Kogi State, who were rescued from the forests adjoining Egbe town. I am confident that this facility will no doubt enhance military operations and overall security in Egbe and along the border between Kwara and Kogi states.
As part of efforts to rebuild Nigeria's northeast following years of conflict, Borno State Governor has inaugurated 8 new projects across 3 local councils in southern Borno State. The governor emphasized that investing in education is crucial for empowering the youth and preventing the recurrence of conflict. News Central's Umaru Kirawa throws more lights.
One of the newly built 60 classroom Islamic colleges in Kwayakusar Local Council, Southern Borno, has been inaugurated. This institution, which learners have begun exploring, aims to provide quality education and promote stability in the area.
Our efforts in education are just one part of broader plan to improve the living conditions of our people. As part of our ongoing resettlement program, we are ensuring that essential social amenities are put in place to strengthen local governance. These lodges are part of a wider initiative to provide infrastructure that support governance and service delivery in local communities, with a total number of 16 government lodges constructed across the state. In the year 2025, inshallah, we'll build 100 teachers' quarters in Biu, 100 units of teachers' quarters, 100 units of teachers' quarters in Hau, 100 units of teachers' quarters in Magomeri, and 100 units of teachers' quarters in Gobio, and 100 in Maiduguri, inshallah.
10 units of 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalows for teachers were also inaugurated. This initiative addresses the pressing need for adequate housing for educators and aims to attract and retain quality teachers in the area. An ICT center in Briel, as well as 2 government lodges in Kwayakusar and Bayo local councils, were also among the projects inaugurated to support Borno's recovery phase.
If others copy and test the way you approach the development of education in Borno State, we shall really very soon reach the destination. So I thank you very much. I thank the entire people of you and Borno State in general. And indeed, I thank the organizers of this program for making it possible.
Community members expressed hope that this development will lead to improved opportunities and a stronger sense of community resilience, as Governor Zulum also commissioned a housing estate in Buratai town and a new secondary school in Tum village. In southern Borno for News Central, Umori Kirawa.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has officially launched passengers operations for the first phase of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line, making it the second rail system to be operational in the city within the last 2 years. The first phase covers a 27-kilometer route from Oyigbo to Lagos to Agbado in Ogun State, with 8 stations located at Oyigbo: Yaba, Mushin, Oshodi, Ikeja, Agege, Iju, and Agbado. News Central's Bernard Akede joined the governor and his team on the inaugural ride and has this report.
The first phase of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line has officially begun operations. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, alongside top state officials, flagged off the service, opting for a swift start with minimal ceremony. Passengers were immediately directed to the platforms to board the train.
All of my passengers, mind the gap between the platform and the station. Make sure you have your blue cowrie card.
The governor highlighted the use of access cards for passengers, allowing seamless movement across rail, road and water transport systems. As the 27-kilometer rail line links Lagos to Ogun State, safety remains a priority, although concerns have been raised about traders operating near the rail tracks.
Yeah, actually, we need to barricade the line because at Agege, people are trading on the track, and also at Iju, they are also around here.
The launch of the Red Line comes at a time when many Lagos residents are facing rising transportation costs due to the increase in petrol prices. When asked whether the timing of the launch was deliberate to ease these transport burdens, Governor Sanwo-Olu shared his perspective.
You know, we had to cross the T's and dot the I's. It's what it is. You know, there's been a fair price, but we as a government also have to step up very quickly and see if we can provide succor. Real succor for our people, give them an alternative that works better, give them an alternative that gives them, you know, a better return and takes them home safely. So if it's coincidental and it's a good coincidence, I mean, we're happy with that.
In recent months, the state government reduced commercial transportation fare to mitigate the impact of petrol price hike. We asked if similar measures would be applied for the Red Line commuters.
Well, we're looking at the numbers. We don't want to run down our train operations. We want to be sure that, you know, we've looked at what it is, and you can be rest assured that if anybody will cut it, I'll be the first, you know, to ensure that that happens, you know. So, but we just want to get a feel of it, ensure that we have all what it takes, and, you know, if there's a need for us to cut, we will certainly cut.
As Lagos continues to battle road congestions, officials hope these rail projects will offer a viable alternative, reducing pressure on road transport and improving mobility in the megacity. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akide.
Day 2 of the Lagos Fiscal Planning Summit saw experts focus on the integration of technology into urban planning, with discussions centered around smart city solutions and data-driven decision-making. This highlighted the importance of technology in shaping the future of Lagos as a regional and integrated megacity. The summit, organized by the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, spans 2 days under the theme, Rethinking Lagos, a New Vision for Regional and Integrated Megacity. The event has showcased a variety of presentations and panel discussions addressing the present challenges and opportunities in urban development. Bettina Unwili has details.
The rapid growth of Lagos has led to an increased demand for infrastructure, making it challenging for town planners to keep pace with development. Moreover, existing infrastructure often struggles to integrate new technologies such as smart traffic systems and waste management solutions.
Most of the properties in Lagos are not well documented. They need to engage the citizens. Even the professionals that we use to manage to build our houses, they should encourage us that, look, encourage them to go and do their proper documentation. It's your own interest. It's your title. It protects you and your investments. The government has built so many infrastructure, but the usage is low. Simply because the government agency in charge or the users are not engaging the citizens properly on the utilization.
Engaging citizens effectively in planning processes is also challenging when technology creates new forms of participation that may not reach all demographics. Balancing technological development with sustainable practices is crucial, especially in a city prone to flooding and other climate-related issues. Commenting on the recent building collapse in Orile, Mr. Yinka Shorungbe of the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology had this to say.
As a citizen of Lagos, the building that collapsed recently, there's been a quick evacuation order on that building. So most buildings that are distressed, the government might be aware of some of them. But they've issued an order for people to evacuate those buildings. People don't leave. It's a big problem we have. Like I said, we need a lot of stakeholders' engagement, and then because of overpopulation, there's pressure. People are willing to take risks. If I leave, where do I go? The alternative is very expensive. But stakeholder engagement is very critical. Talking to the community leaders. Now look, this building is essential, let people go there. Issue an evacuation order, prevent people from going inside.
Addressing these challenges requires innovative approaches, collaboration among stakeholders, and investment in capacity building. As the Lagos Fiscal Planning Summit 2024 draws to a close, it is clear that the discussions and insights shared are vital for the future of Lagos State. In Lagos, for News Central, I'm Bettina Nwili.
Coming up, security forces disperse protesting voters in Mozambique. We have details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. Nigeria is renaming several historic sites in the capital, Niamey, which previously bore references to its old colonial master, France. The Avenue Charles de Gaulle is changed to Avenue Jibo Bakari, a key political figure in the Sahel nation's struggle for independence. Minister of Youth and junta spokesman Major Colonel Abdurrahman Amadou told those that gathered in Niger will continue to promote its national interests, enhance its history, and honor its ancestors.
Plupart des avenues, boulevards, lieux de mémoire, rues, sites et places de nos villes en général et de la capitale en particulier portaient des noms qui ne représentaient pas des repères dans l'imaginaire du collectif de nos concitoyens. Aujourd'hui, cette avenue qui portait jadis le nom du général Charles de Gaulle est désormais baptisée avenue Jibo Bakari.
Le colonisateur, en souvenir de son passage, a marqué certains de nos centres urbains, certaines de nos places fortes, de nos sites touristiques, de nom de ceux-là même qui nous ont causé du tort. Désormais, nous allons promouvoir nos intérêts nationaux, revalorisant notre histoire et faire honneur à nos ancêtres.
Bien que c'est l'anniversaire du lâche assassinat du capitaine Thomas Sankara, aujourd'hui nous avons quand même un sentiment de fierté de voir qu'à l'occasion de son lâche assassinat, qu'une place qui portait le nom d'un colon a été rebaptisée.
We dive deep into a pressing issue plaguing the continent, one that threatens the future of millions. In a world that is increasingly interconnected, African countries find themselves ensnared in a complex web of global finance, reliant on foreign loans and investments. Yet, the very systems designed to propel growth are often the same ones exacerbating this crisis. This mounting debt burden is crippling economies, stifling development and widening inequality. Governments are struggling to repay loans, forced to choose between servicing their debts and investing in essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The question is, how did Africa get to this point? And to unpack this, we're joined by an independent economist, Professor Bonke Dumisa. Prof, I mean, it's a good place to begin by asking, how did African countries end up in this debt crisis, which now seems to have spiraled beyond control?
Well, I have to be very, very, very critical of our political leadership in most African countries. What has happened is that we continue producing more and more raw materials, and we do not plan to beneficiate them. The countries which buy those raw materials from us, they are the ones who actually tell us that we are going to buy at this particular price, which means African countries are price takers when it comes to their own raw materials that they produce. And those raw materials, once they go out of the country, when they come back as very expensive imports. And those imports are bought in US dollars in most instances. So what the BRICS countries are trying to do now to try and mount the de-dollarization process, saying that the countries must be able to sell and buy things in their own local currencies, will in a way help in dealing with this issue. But the problem is the big countries which buy most of these raw materials also have their own proxies within these countries to, they use those proxies to destabilize the political system in those countries, in case there are certain people who are now saying, let us try and determine our own destiny.
Now, you mentioned buying and selling in local currencies, that is local African currencies, to help boost the economy of African countries. Beyond that, what you have stated, how can we, leverage on our natural as well as human resources to translate into a sustainable economic growth for African countries?
We must embark on massive beneficiation. I mean, for example, in the case of South Africa, what the whole world is not really being told a lot about is that you've got many top brand cars which are manufactured here in South Africa and sold in countries as far away as the USA, the Australasia, that is Australia and New Zealand, etc. That brings a lot of foreign currency into South Africa, which in turn strengthens the South African rand. And that is those are some of the things that we must do. And we must go out of our way to make sure that we reduce inflation, the cost of living in a country, which in turn will stabilize our currencies. I must say, in South Africa, our South African rand is fairly strong as it is when you compare it to many other countries. You must have that fiscal discipline in the country, which will then make it easier for you to have a lot of power in negotiating for the raw materials that you are selling, and you stop being a price taker and you start dictating the prices. How did OPEC countries start dictating their prices? Before the 1970s, they were not. It was against that background that they formed OPEC. And then OPEC then started dictating prices instead of people from outside dictating prices. South Africa produces a lot of gold. Ghana produces a lot of gold, and so are other countries. But do we ever sit down and say, how can we influence the price of gold such that all the African countries benefit, or we compete against each other? And I'll tell you the answer to that. We spend a lot of time competing against each other rather than working together to make sure that we can, because it's the pricing strategy which determines how much we get from the raw materials that we produce. And as it is now, we don't make a lot of money out of that. The people who make a lot of money are the other countries who actually use those very same raw materials to build up their economies and subject us to further control so that we cannot get into the position where we determine our own economic destiny.
Well, indeed, we hope we find an African solution to our African problems. Thank you so much, Professor Bonke Dumisa, independent economist. Many thanks indeed.
Thank you.
Security forces in Mozambique opened fire on Wednesday to disperse hundreds of supporters of opposition candidate Venancio Mondlane, who claims to have won the elections held a week ago. According to activists, at least one person was injured in the shooting in the northeastern city of Nampula. A video circulating online also suggests this, though authorities have not confirmed the incident. Mondlane, along with several hundred supporters, had marched through the city earlier to protest against the announcement by election authorities on Monday that the ruling party, Frelimo, had won the October 9th vote in Nampula province with 66% of the vote. Nampula, the largest province in Mozambique, is known to be an opposition stronghold. Still ahead, magnitude 5.9 quake hit Turkey's eastern Malatya. We're happy to shortly join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. A 5.9 magnitude earthquake has struck several areas in eastern Turkey. The tremor occurred at 10:46 a.m. in Kale, located in the Malatya province, which was severely affected by two major earthquakes in February 2023. Now, those previous quakes claimed the lives of over 53,500 people in Turkey and nearly 6,000 in neighboring Syria. Official reports that there have been no immediate injuries, though emergency services have received several dozens calls for assistance. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya said 3 buildings had partially collapsed in separate locations across the province.
Deprem oluyor değerli izleyiciler. Deprem. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahu Ekber. Allah'ım sen yardım et ya Rabbi.
In the world of sports, Super Eagles winger Ahmed Musa stole the show in a matchday 7 encounter of the 2024-25 Nigeria Premier Football League as Kano Pillars stunned defending champions Enugu Rangers 4-3 at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu. Musa won 2 penalties, which were converted in the 15th and 37th minutes by Rabiu Ali. Musa then scored another goal and set up Mohamed Rabiu as Pillars led 4-0 at half-time. Rangers mounted a strong comeback in the second half and scored through a brace by Isaac Saviour's brace and a goal from Nenrod Silas to narrow the deficit, but it wasn't enough to avoid defeat. This win moves Kano Pillars to 5th on the NPFL table, while Rangers slip to 6th position. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has announced that Morocco will host the 2024 edition of the CAF Women's Champions League finals. The CAF Women's Champions League Morocco 2024 will be played between 9th to 23rd November 2024. Morocco hosted the 2022 edition of the CAF Women's Champions League, the premium women's club football competition in Africa. 8 clubs will contest the top prize, while winners will get $400,000 in prize money, with runner-ups walking away with $250,000. Morocco's hosting of the CAF Women's Champions League follows the nation's successful hosting of the CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations 2022, which also enjoyed unparalleled success. Nigeria's Edo Cranes have qualified for the tournament. Former France international Yohan Cabaye has been named sporting director of Paris Saint-Germain's Youth Academy, the club confirmed on Wednesday. 38-year-old Cabaye made 48 appearances for France, including at the 2014 World Cup and the European Championship in 2016. He also played 57 times for PSG from 2013 to 2015 and had spells in the Premier League with Newcastle United and Crystal Palace. Cabaye is expected to continue PSG's policy of signing the brightest young talent in French football, especially from the world-class talent pool in the Paris region. And that's all. On the news, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. NLC and CUC leaders are meeting federal government for talks and fuel price hike. At least 150 people have died in Jigawa petrol tanker explosion. We also told you that security forces have dispersed protesting voters in Mozambique. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.